What's going on, everyone? It's Bars, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekend Report. The game has just finished, so I hope you're all doing well on a Sunday night. It's been a good weekend for, I know, quite a lot of coaches, a lot of people scoring quite high. So if you are tuning in live, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I want to shout out Nick Bacon was the 370th subscriber here, so thank you very much for that, and thank you for your support. So if you guys are new and that you want to show the support, then be much appreciated. So let's get stuck in. We'll go through all the games and stuff like that. So we've got plenty to talk about as well. Just get this sorted here. So we've got Shannon Baron says on 22.96 with a quarter from Lockheed Neal left to go. Yeah, Lockheed Neal was going good, and that's obviously a very good score from you. And then you said as well 23.19 high score this year. Yeah, I think a lot of people scored probably the highest rounds for the year as well. There was so many people that went big, so we've got plenty to discuss there. And then Moon Boy, let's go Bars Legend. Thanks, mate. Well, we're live now, so let's get stuck in everything. So I'll start off with how my weekend went first, and I'll give them +3, -3, and stuff like that, and then we'll get into everything else. So without any score updates or anything from if Lockheed Neal gets added something, then that could be different. But at the moment, I'm sitting on 23-31 for the weekend, which is obviously I'm very, very happy with that. Puts me now at 5,893rd overall. So obviously a big jump up in ranking this week, about 5,000 spots for me. So obviously very good after a poor week last week. And there was still a few players this week that didn't do what I wanted them to. So that score could have been a lot higher. But yeah, we'll get into that. But yeah, so if there's any score updates, I might go to 6,000. Could it go up a couple spots? I don't know. Let's just see what happens. But so +3, -3. There's a lot of candidates that can get the +3 this week because there was just so many players that went over 120 this week. So like last week, I only had the 500. Dunkley, Bruce, Gawn, Sicily, and Hewitt. But then this round, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 900s, and then there was a 99 from Whitfield. Then you had a couple of 94s and stuff like that. I had 3 94s and a 91. So a lot of high scores. So +3 would have to go to. There's probably. I don't know. You got to give it to Greg. I got to give it to Greg Clarke. Like he got a 110 on debut, and yeah, 110 on debut is just. You can't get much better than that, really. Like I know Nick Martin got 130, but Greg Clarke looked great, and that was in a side that got smashed as well. So Greg Clarke probably gets it from me for the 110, but also just a couple of special mentions here. So Jack Chris was bounced back, good form, got another 130 for me, and for a lot, obviously everyone else. Lockheed Neal, another 142. He just looked amazing again today. Paddy Cripps, who I brought in this week along with Greg Clarke. So finally, for the first time this year, I've brought in 2 players and they've gone bang for me straight away, which is good because last few weeks I brought in Dawson, got 100. That was is okay. Brought in Taranto, got 92 on debut. Then brought in Bailey Smith, who got 92 on debut. So I haven't brought in a premium yet until this week where Cripps went nuts. So Cripps is looking great as well. Max Gawn, obviously another 149. He's just going absolutely berserk. I knew that he would against Hawthorn in that game. He was my vice captain. And then Josh Dunkley as well with a 133. He just, again, and hasn't scored under 100 all year and just continues that streak. Him and Jack Steele, who's gonna score under 100 first? That's going to be interesting to find out. And then James Sicily as well. He's just an absolute machine. He can just rack up points at will. Like if he's ever on 40 points 3/4 time, I would still have hope that he can get to a 90 because he can just score 50 points very, very easily. So +3 for Greg Clarke and -3. So not too many poor scores, but there was still a couple of guys there. So I'd probably, who would I give it to? Jason Francis a rookie, Nick Dacos a rookie, O'Driscoll's a rookie. It's probably going to be Will Brodie, to be honest. 64, and it's probably not a negative, a negative point of view negative, if that makes sense. I'm giving it to him because there was probably not many other. Yeah, I'll give it to Brody. 64. Yeah, I'll give it to him because we thought maybe he could be a top 6. So I'll give it to him. But a guy that wasn't great as well. So Tim Taranto. So he got 73 at halftime. And I was like, oh, brilliant. He's looking great. He's not going to go down much. 21 points in the second half, and he only got 94. So I know that everyone from the Giants slowed down except Josh Kelly. after half time, like the game was done. So, but Taranto will be fine. It was just the fact that, only 21 points. I was hoping for like a 110 there, but that's fine. But Brody gets my -3 for only 64. Butters obviously was a little bit underwhelming, but that was at Cairns. Bit of a difficult game. Mcrae only got a 94, had a very I think he had a poor first and third quarter or first and second quarter, something like that. Yeah, so only 37 points in the first half from Mcrae. And like Dacos only got a 59 against Gold Coast. Probably wanted a bit more from him, but he'll be okay. Probably not a priority to trade out. So let's get into the game. So I just want to see if there's been any late score updates with the Brisbane game, or if they've actually done it yet. If they've done any late updates, let's have a look. Doesn't look like it. So I don't think they've done it yet, but that's fine. So let's get stuck into all the games as well. So Andrew Griffith says 22-77 with Hobbs on field. I take it. I take it and worried. Kitty Coleman a bit sore. Got 400k in the bank. Going to target Parker. Yeah, Parker's a good target, I think. Obviously, Hobbs on field, you're probably going to want to get him off of field because he's just not going to be, I don't think, going to be a consistent score on your field. He only got like a 30 or something today? What did he get? It wasn't very, he didn't score very well. It was against the Dogs, hard game, but he's just not playing in the midfield. Like I would like to have thought that he would have played a bit more midfield than what he did. Yeah, 30. So, not too great. And then Shannon Baron says, +3, Greg Clarke. Yeah, Greg Clarke was just great. So, but let's get stuck into that game. So, West Coast, Richmond. Richmond obviously smashed them. Tom Lynch 146. That could have been a lot bigger. 7 goals, 5. He should have scored 10 goals. So he should have scored a lot better. But still, 146 is great. So if you had him in draft, obviously, kudos there. Shy Bolton, 136 with 3 goals and 30 touches. He played really well. I just don't think he'll be a consistent scorer for Classic, so I don't think he's an option. Jack Redden, 27 disposals, 15 marks for 124. He obviously went pretty big as well. Another one if he's in draft. That's good. So the first player of note, so Jaden Short, 123, 31 disposals, played midfield, which was interesting to say the least. When I saw him named on the ball with the team news, I thought, okay, sometimes they put people in weird positions. But then Short went to the first centre bounce, and I was like, okay, that's a bit different. But there you go. And he played really well in the midfield. And when you look at it, they've got like Vlostone, Rioli, Gibcus, Robbie Tarrant didn't play, Dylan Grimes, Nathan Broad. I don't know if am I forgetting someone? Bolter played in defense, back in defence today. They've got plenty of defenders. So it's like, if Short can play midfield, like he's got the loss to, because I don't need him back. Like he's a great defender as well, but if he's going in the midfield, he's going to go. But he's going to be like the Laird and Mills of this year. He's going to go nuts. So 123's got what? He's got 3 great games. He's got what? Collingwood, Hawthorn, and I think Essendon is next 3. So he's going to go nuts. So he's definitely on my list to potentially bring in this week. I'm definitely looking at him. So yeah, he was just great as well. Andrew Griffith says, I get Clarke for Owens or McInnes. Yeah, 100%. That's a great trade because you're getting rid of a red dot / a guy that's not making any more money or could be dropped in McGuinness. But and you're getting Greg Clarke who's going to make tons of cash. So I think I'm going to probably put Greg Clarke on my field, to be honest. He just looked that good. So speaking of the man, Greg Clarke, 110 on debut, 24 disposals, 7 marks, 6 tackles. And he wasn't playing midfield. Like, he played a little bit of midfield in the last quarter, but he was playing off of a wing. So very impressive. And when I'm looking at West Coast and they continue to go back to Shuey, Redden, Tim Kelly, and like Yo and guys like that, it's like, I think that they and like Gaff, for example, putting all of them, Gaff's a winger for a stage. Not even, I don't think he's really the best on baller per se. He's more of a wingman, but yeah, like Greg Clarke, right? So he's 195 centimeters and 94 kilos. And to put that into context about sort of how tall is that for a midfielder. So you look at Patrick Cripps and Marcus Bonampelli, who are the taller midfielders, right? So Paddy Cripps is 195 centimeters, 93 kilos. So Greg Clarke, same height, 1 kilo, obviously heavier. And then Bonampelli, I think is like 1 or 2 centimeters shorter from memory. So like Bonampelli's 193 centimeters, 93 kilos. So Greg Clarke is the exact same size as a Cripps and a Bont. So for me, West Coast have got to play him in the guts and play him a lot more on the ball, because he's that big midfielder that are quite damaging. Like Bont and Cripps are 2 of the best players in the comp. So Greg Clark's played one game, don't want to get too carried away, but he's the same sort of build as those guys. So if I was West Coast, I'd be chucking him in the guts and be giving him plenty of midfield time. He looked great, 110, 190k mid. Obviously, he's going to go up to probably 250k or somewhere around that. His breakout's going to be like -20, -30. So he's obviously going to shoot up in price. So if you didn't jump on him this week, which I know a lot of people couldn't do because they had like Grundy and Cherry, and not many people wanted to go down to a rookie. So Greg Clarke definitely is the must-have player of the week out of anyone. So yeah, 100% he's very, very good. Moneyrilla 356 says, is Carroll an option? So I will speak about Jack Carroll when I get to the current game, but yes, he's definitely an option to bring in, especially if you've already got Greg Clarke. If you're going to go one down, one up, then Carroll's probably the next best guy. Stephen Sexton says 21.91, pretty ordinary considering. Oh, you still got to. Well, I know you messaged me, Stephen, and you were saying that obviously you had like all the drama that you had to get to nearly 2,200. Still not a bad score, considering that you had a lot of drama as well. So I wouldn't be too upset with that. Nearly 2,200, and round 14 forward are an issue. Yeah, there's a lot of guys on round 14 that are there. So yeah. So we have to look at that when you look at when doing your buy and stuff. So Nick Vlostone, 102. So if Shaw's playing midfield, he's got to be considered as a potential option back in defence. But I think there are a lot of defenders at the moment scoring quite well. So he's not at the top of the list, but he's a guy that you got to keep an eye on if Jaden Short's playing midfield. So just a guy to watch. Shuey 102 got that from like 68% game time. He's just not an option just with he could just do an injury just at any moment. Alex Witherden 97. Again, just continues his good form. Hasn't scored under 91 all year. So, yeah, so he's definitely an option down back as well. Probably not the top of your list again, but he's just, definitely a different option if you want to go someone unique. He's the guy there. Paddy Nash, 94 again. So he just continues to rise in price, which is great, especially for me as well, because I got him and I don't think a lot of people got him, but he did turn the ball over a little bit as well. So I don't think you can drop him because at least he was trying to take the game on, whereas a few guys are trying to chip it around and not do too much. So I think Nay should be fine in terms of holding his spot, but if he does, he's definitely a guy I'm going to keep. I think he's got a tougher matchup coming up this week. West Coast have got Brisbane at the Gabba, so it's obviously a tougher game, but I'm hoping that Nash will keep his spot, and he's just fine to field there because he hasn't scored under 70 since round one, so he just keeps getting it done each and every week and rising in price, and he's doing better than some other premiums at the moment as well. So especially, a guy like Butters, he's doing better than Butters. So yeah, there you go. Daniel Rowley, 85, solid again. Just keeps continuing to tick over, and especially with Short in the midfield, if you've still got him, he's not a priority to get rid of just yet. He's still doing solid enough for you. Tim Kelly only got an 80, and especially because he went to the most CBAs on the ground with 35, and I think there was like 37 CBAs in the game. You still want more. He just isn't consistent enough, and especially for a team like West Coast that are struggling, he's just not going to score high enough to be an option. So probably got to pass on him. Maurice Rioli looked good, 3 goals with 76. So again, mid forward, should hold his spot next week because he played well. So, but I just don't know if he's going to hold his spot long term. But definitely an option because he has got good flexibility. If you've already got like a Greg Clarke in your team, he's definitely a guy you could consider if you're not looking at a couple of other guys. We did get quite a few rookies come in this week. So, and a few of them look like really, really good options. Gibcus 64, if you've still got him floating around, back-to-back 60-plus scores with what an 89 or 64. So he's just getting it done for the last couple of weeks. So that's obviously good if you've got him. Luke Stranatica got 51. So if you jumped on him on your bench, he should be fine to keep his spot in the team for a few weeks, but not what you wanted. Gaff, only 47. Obviously, only played half a game. So I get sucked into Gaff every year, and he's going to drop in price quite heavily after that. So if he gets up under 700K, I don't know. That'll have to be something that we'll deal with. But I know my mate Ryan will definitely not want me to bring in Gaff. So there you go. Hugh Dixon, 32 points. Again, just to make money. It was good. It was even great that he came in last minute and was able to play. So he again, because Bailey Williams is injured, he'll hold his spot. Him and Stranatica will hold their spot. So yeah, he should be still fine to make some more money. But yeah, you want a little bit more than 32, I think, to keep that money ticking over. So there you go. So that's it from that game. So we'll move on to the next game. So Money Rilla 356 says, what is par? So I think par for this week would have been maybe 2,200, maybe 2,225, somewhere around that mark, maybe 2,250. I'm not exactly sure, but I think about 2,250 was probably what people were getting. So somewhere around 2,200, 2,250 was probably around par. Shannon Baron says, I've thrown a K. I actually, Cherry to Parker for me, if no carnage. Hewitt only 1 week. Hopefully Hewitt's only missing 1 week. Hopefully back in. He should be back in. It was only a corky, so he should be okay. And then Cherry to Parker, so it's not too bad as well. So I would tick that off. Parker's looking very good. So there you go. Then we go Geelong and Fremantle. So first game on the Saturday. So Tom Stewart went nuts with 157. I didn't know he had that in him because I know that he gets a lot of the ball, but I thought he's more of a 80 to 120 at maximum type of guy. But he went nuts for 157 with 40 disposals, 14 marks. So again, another defender scoring well, and he's probably another option. He's going to be, I think he'll still be under 800K this week. So if you're looking for a defender, I think he's a good option because they do look for him back there, and he's just consistent. So he's been really good. Blitzar's 116. If you got him in draft, obviously that'd be obviously good for you. Blakers as well with a 109, and Cam Guthrie with 100 if you had them in draft. Obviously great as well. Guthrie only 100 as well with 35 disposals. Just not really good enough, to be honest. Tyson Stengel, 87. If you still got him floating around on your bench or on your field, then obviously another 87. You'd be happy with that. Sarong, 84. Just not enough, unfortunately, from if you did jump on him, a 60 and then an 80. So just not the scores you're looking for. Andrew Brosher, 83, again, had 28 touches, but considering he got a tag by O'Connor, was able to work through that and still get to at least an 80. So it just shows that he's added that to his game where he gets tagged, but he can still outwork his opponent and get to a solid enough score. So that's not bad from him. Mitch Duncan, only 69. He's been quite poor this year. He just hasn't really gotten going with his big scores yet. So until we see like 2 or 3 weeks of that, he's not an option. Will Brodie, 64, as I mentioned, a little bit underwhelming, but again, against Geelong, in Geelong, tough game. So, yeah, I'm not a priority necessarily to get rid of, but if you haven't got a Horn Francis and you've got no other issues, then he's definitely a guy that you can say goodbye to, but thanks for your service, certainly not on bad terms, that's for sure. So you can look at moving him on to a top 6 in their position, whether that's a midfielder or forward or even a defender if you've got that flexibility. So Nathan O'Driscoll, 63, that was quite good considering I was hoping just for at least a 50 from him against Geelong in Geelong. So obviously very good from him to get to another solid score. So I think again, if you need to field him, I think he's still solid enough to put on field. Sam DeConning got his first 50 for the year with a 51. So again, just keeps that cash generation ticking over. And Ollie Dempsey only got 11. So I didn't think he was a great option because I thought he could get dropped out of the team. But yeah, just showed that just not quite going to score well enough. And he probably won't hold his spot either. So Adelaide and GWS. So this was a horrible game to watch. Personally, as a Crows fan, we were just absolutely terrible. Giants were great. We were crap. Simple as that. But Josh Kelly, 134. He's finally gone big this year. So he's an option, potential option. I won't jump on him just because I've got too many Giants and I don't like having too many players from one team. I like to sort of have a bit of an even spread. Maybe besides the Dogs where I've got where I've got Mcrae, Bailey Smith and Josh Dunkley. But yeah, Giants are another team that do like to share it around a bit. But yeah, Josh Kelly, 134, definitely an underpriced option you can look at. He did attend some more CBAs than what normally does. So looks like he's more in the guts. So he was good. Isaac Cummings, so another guy to keep an eye on in defence as well. 123, hasn't set the world on fire yet this year, but takes all the kick-ins. Whitfield's moved to either a wing or a half forward. So Isaac Cummings, the guy back there. So just a guy to just watch and see what he does over the next 3 or 4 weeks because he could potentially put his name into the ring of those defenders there. Rory Laird, 118, very, very impressive. Had 26 handballs, got tagged by Lockie Ash. Still got to 118, just very impressive. I think for me, I'd rather Laird over Keys at the moment. I just think Laird is just your safer guy. Laird reminds me a bit of Oliver, and Keys reminds me a bit of Petrarca in terms of Laird's that consistent 110 to 130 guy, whereas Keys can get anywhere from 95 to 150 or whatever. Laird can get you 150, but I just see that more of a split. I'd rather Laird just because, I love Laird for a stage. My favourite player in the AFL, so that's probably why I'd rather. It's a bit biased, but I just see him being more consistent in terms of 115 plus scores, but Key's a great option as well. So, yeah. who else we got here? Jordan Dawson got to 106, so he was obviously did very well considering he didn't do anything special. Like Jaden Short played really well and he got 123. Dawson played okay and got a 106. That's pretty good considering. I think they'll both be around the mark of those top six fans. I think Short will be. It just depends if Dawson can fit his way into those top six. Stephen Kennedy 105. Bit concerning that he is playing exclusive as a forward now. He did kick 3 goals. 105 is not bad. He's probably just a guy that at our buyers will probably move on because he's not going to be a top 6 forward if he's playing exclusively as a forward. There's a lot of guys in the forward line that are scoring decent enough. So I think Kennedy is a guy. If you've got absolutely no problems and you've got luxury trades, Cornelio is a guy that you can luxury trade out because he's not going to score huge playing exclusively as a forward. So just a guy that if you want to move him on, you can. Ben Key's 100 as well, just keeps scoring over 100. So, yeah, he's still a great option. He's still going to be in the mix for the top 8 midfielders. I just rather that just because he's a bit cheaper as well. So, but yeah, they're both good options. They're both going to keep racking it up. Lockie Whitfield, 99. So, again, the concerning thing with Whitfield is that if he's playing as a forward, I don't see him being that Whitfield that racks up those 120s. And when you've got Crisp, Doherty, Shaw consistently getting 120 pluses, they're already above him. And then you've got other guys like Witherden getting consistently over 90 and 95. You've got Dane Zawker, who played well today. You've got Tom Stewart, who got a 150. There's a lot of these defenders. I've probably forgotten one or two off the top of my head. Aaron Hall when he comes back. So Whitfield might not be a top 6 defender based on this role that he's playing. So just again, you're not trading Whitfield out, but just something to keep an eye on. Brayden Preuss, 95. So, again, 2 behinds. He dominated O'Brien as well, by the way. It was only 34 hitouts to 27, but Bruce just looks so much better. Again, going to make bulk money this week, probably going to be 600K, so he's just made money. Apparently, he did sort of get a bit of a... I think Ryan was watching the game, because obviously I was at the game, so I didn't actually see. But apparently, Bruce had a bit of a calf sort of like niggle, so I don't know if he did his calf at all, but just something maybe to keep an eye on during the week. I hope not, because I've got him and everybody's got him and not and in their ruck as their R2. So if he's out, that could create a bit more drama for the ruck. And it wouldn't surprise me if it is, because the ruck, it just continues to happen with these rucks. So hopefully he's not, and he'll be fine. Taranto 94. So he looked better than what he has in the last 2 weeks. Played a bit more midfield, but again, poor second half. He looked great in the first half. I'm sort of holding on to the fact that the first half was hopefully what he's going to do moving forward, and that the second half was just the fact that all the Giants players took their foot off the gas. So hopefully he continues to play well, and hope he doesn't drop a ton more in cash, because I did jump on him at 939K, and now he's down at probably going to be 850, 840 this week. So maybe even a bit lower. So yeah, a bit disappointing, but oh well, what are you going to do? You're going to jump on guys that are going to go up in pricing, and they are going to drop. Like Andrew Brayshaw got an 83, which isn't that bad, but he's still going to drop 40 odd K, 30 odd K this week, just because of that. So you are going to get these premium guys that are going to drop in money. So, and Taranto's going to be in my team for the rest of the year, so he'll be okay. Matt Crouch 89, so solid enough as well. Look good. I just don't, as a Crows fan, I just don't get why we are persisting with Sam Berry in the midfield. I still think that Crouch should be getting more opportunity in there as well. Yeah, 89 still solid. He's getting the job done. He's the least of my worries at the moment as well. Got obviously a couple of rookies that aren't sort of doing as well. And then you've got like guys like Will Brodie who aren't making any money anymore. I know Crouch is making up, at least Crouch is still getting you 85, 90 pretty consistently. He's only got 2 scores under 80 all season. That was a 78 and then the 66. So he's still getting at least 25 touches pretty much a week. Or he got 24 was his lowest for the year this week. So again, that could have been a better score. O'Brien 79, pretty much just stock standard what you're going to get for him. Tom Green 74. So he probably I think it was his worst score for the year, but you're probably going to hold on to him. It was just one poor game. I think he'll be better than that moving forward. I think he still went to a decent amount of CBAs, which is still good. So he went to 21, which was the second most behind Lockie Ash. So I don't really get why Giants persist with tagging when you've got so much talent with Kelly, Taranto, Cornelio, Tom Green, all those guys. Just don't tag. Just play your best midfielders, go head to head with them. That's what Melbourne do. So yeah, I know Melbourne the best team in the comp, but still. Cooper Hamilton got a 64 on debut. That was solid. I just don't know if he's going to hold his spot long term. So I think there's other options there to bring in this week in rookies, guys like Greg Clarke and Jack Carroll, guys like that. Roy McComb, if you didn't jump on him, guys like that, I would rather over a guy like Cooper Hamilton. I just don't think he'll hold his spot. Finn Callan got 51. He looked very, very impressive just in terms of what he was doing with the ball. And apparently he did go off with a bit of a shoulder injury late in the game as well. So that might be something to look at if you have got him. But I think he's just not going to score well enough to be an option. And I think he's over 300k now. So we're not looking at him anymore. Rochelle only got a 43. Again, still a great player. But if you still got him, it's now time to move him on because you can get to another player who's still quite expensive for a rookie. So I'd be looking to move him on this week. So, and Andrew Griffith says, in 2 weeks, English will be the target to get in. That's right. That's what I mean. So that's why I'm hoping that this Bruce thing isn't too bad and then we can get English in a couple of weeks because English is looking like that guy that's going to be their R2 for us for the rest of the year. So, yeah. Melbourne and Hawthorn. So starting at the top and the biggest player on the ground and the biggest player in terms of scoring, Max Gawn, 149. His last 4 scores, 140, 132, 119, and 149. He's gone absolutely berserk. 29 disposals for a ruckman as well. 35 hitouts, kicked 2 goals. He's just insane. He's just so good. So number one ruck by a long, long way. So he's just, very good. Dylan Moore. Now, when I saw 138, I know that his name has been sort of floated up as like he's been really good this year. So with that 138, I think he's averaging like 98 for the year. Let me just get him up here. So Dylan Moore averaging 98 for the year, now priced at 708k. He's been very good. Like he's literally gone 100, under 100, 100, under 100. He pretty much goes 100, 75. He went 111, 75, 109, 71, 100, 82, 138. So he's been very good. So I couldn't do it, but because I don't even know what his role is. Like, is he a forward that just pushes high up the ground? Is he playing on a wing? He's not playing midfield, so I don't know what his role is, but he's just looking very good. So just a guy to sort of keep your eye on, but he's playing very, very well. Clayton Oliver, 126 as well, just keeps getting it done. Take out that Port game where he only got 68, which is very weird. He's gone 110 in every game besides the first game against the Dogs. So, and that Dogs game, he gave away 7 free kicks. That could have been a 120, 110. So he's still very, very good. If you're looking at bringing in a midfield, he's definitely an option there. James Sicily, 114. Again, as I said before, he's a machine. Just keeps going. What's to say he's not going to be a top 6 defender because they keep looking for him back there and he keeps taking bulk marks each week. So he's definitely got in the conversation and definitely if you've got him, low priority to get rid of because he just keeps getting it done each and every week. So I think in his last 5 games, he's got 1 score under 100. So again, just like the top defenders, he just keeps getting it done. So Petrarca 111. So again, it was good to see him back over 100 and getting a 111, which was good. So hopefully he can put another couple of games together and then he might be a good option to bring in. He's underpriced, but I just want to see another week or 2 from him. But he's just a great player, so he'll be fine. Angus Brosher, 110. So again, another guy that is just doing solid enough to put his name in the conversation in the top sort of 8 to 10 defenders. So again, just a guy to keep an eye on to see what he's doing over the next few weeks. Tom Mitchell, 103. Again, he played well, but again, he's not getting enough CBAs. Only 15 of 28 playing forward. If he becomes a mid-forward, then brilliant. We all jump on him. He's going to be a great pick for probably a top 6 forward, but I just don't know if he's going to be a guy you can bring in over 800k when he's not playing full-time mid, when you've got guys like Oliver, Petrarca, Cripps, all these guys are playing like essentially every centre bounce. So Lockheed Neal, another one. So yeah, I just don't think he's an option yet, but I want him to be because it's the pig. We want the pig in our team. Will Daney got a 72. I know he's quite cheap. Few people looking at him. I just don't know if he's an option anymore to bring in. I think we've probably passed that point of those mid-price defenders. I think everyone's got sort of Dacos and O'Driscoll back there, and then we've got the premiums back there. So I don't really think we're in the market for one of them. Jake Bowie, if you've got him, 69. You would have wanted a little bit more against Hawthorn, but 69 when he was so cheap, I guess it's okay. But again, you might want to move him on in the next few weeks. So just a guy to look at there. Toby Bedford looked really good. He only got a 50, but in terms of just natural play, looked really good. Colin Mcdonough got a 47, so his time's up. He's probably ready to go now. Just depends if I want to get rid of him as a mid forward. I just don't know if he's going to hold his spot. I just don't know if he had enough impact that they might move him on. But I know they want to play the kids, so if he keeps his spot, I could just hold him as a dot and a guy playing through the buys. But he's probably the guy I'm looking at the moment, downgrading him this week. Lockheed Bramwell made his return and only got a 37. There's just too many guys back there. I think Sicily's the one guy you get back there and then that's it. Jackson Callow as well got a 23. I was hoping he was going to get more because I think if he played a lot better, he would have looked like holding his spot for a while. I just don't know if he's going to hold his spot now, and he only got a 23, so he's just not an option to bring in just yet, potentially, if at all. So Jack Steele. So we got St Kilda and Port Adelaide the next game here. So Jack Steele 115. So again, he hasn't gone huge yet, right? He hasn't got 120s, but in his last 4 games, he's gone over 110, which obviously is great. And 115 when there was only 200s on the ground. It was quite a low-scoring fantasy game. Up at Gazades as well. It's quite impressive. That on another day, that might be a 120, 130. So Jack Steele getting it done. I don't think you can bring him in. You can bring him in, obviously. He's Jack Steele, but I think he's the guy that you wait because he's got the first buy in round 12. I think you wait for him to have his buy, and he's probably the number one guy or one of the top guys to bring in after his buy because he's not going up in money and he's not really going down. He's just sort of staying, but he's still 940 odd K. And when you got guys like Cripps was 800K, 810K this week, you jump on him. He scored 10 more points than him. Toot Miller is cheaper than him, and he's scoring big as well. He went obviously big this weekend. We'll talk about him in a bit as well. But yeah, Jack's still not the top of the tree to bring in, but he's definitely a guy I would be looking to target as an upgrade after his buy in round 12. So Seb Ross played well, 111, more draft relevant one. I think he's not an option in Classic. I don't. What has he done? I'm just curious to see what Seb Ross has done because he has been good in the past. But when you got guys like Zach Jones and Hunter Clarke and coming back, he's 6'6", averaged 85 for the year. He's gone 91, 93, 90, and 111 in his last 4. So he's been solid, but he did get 70 and 55 to open the year. So if he was like 500K, then that's different. But he's nearly 670, 680, so not an option. Ryan Burton, there's 3 weeks in a row now that he's done quite well with another 96. So just more draft, I think. I just don't think he's an option in Classic, but he's been good. So Dan Houston, 93. As a non-owner, he was only on 6 or 8 points at quarter time. He still gets a 93, which is great for owners. Just like, why couldn't you do something last year when I owned you? It's annoying. Ollie Wines, 91. He'll just continue to drop in price, which is a positive for non-owners because 91 was solid in a weird sort of obviously just different game up in Cairns. So break in 133, he'll probably go down 20, 30K this week. So he'll be probably somewhere around 830. So he's going to be a very good underpriced option to look at bringing in. He's got the round 12 buy as well. So he's again, another one like Jack Steele, a perfect guy to bring in after his round 12 buy and get him to sort of drop price. I think you're probably not really looking at bringing in guys on their round 12 buy now because we are going to be heading into round 8 now and you're only going to get 3 games and they're going to have a buy. So you're probably looking at your round 13 and 14 players from now. But maybe a guy like Jaden Shaw, if you don't have him, is probably a guy that you can look at bringing in, maybe Sam Doherty, but maybe that. But yeah, I'd be looking more at your round 13 and 14 guys. Gresham got his customary 86. So just, again, when those other guys come back, he's just not an option anymore. If you've got him, he's just not a problem to trade yet, but he's just not scoring like huge either. Boat got an 89. So again, weird game. Obviously, it springs up weird scores. So Boat 89 was okay. Nasai Wanganeen Miller started well. He got an 81. So if you've still got him as on your bench or as your D6 potentially, then he obviously is going to make some good money. I just don't see him being a consistent option moving forward. Jack Sinclair only got an 80. I just don't see his ceiling being there without that midfield role when he's playing off half back. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be a top defender, like top 6 defender. I think he'll be in the top sort of 10 to 12, but there's a lot of guys back there scoring quite well at the moment. So I just don't think Sinclair will be in those. But if you've got him, you're not trading him, you're keeping him at least until the buy. And then you can look at potentially doing a luxury trade if you want. Zach Butters at 74. Looked better, 51 at half time. So disappointing he only got to a 74. but he did look better. Obviously, last week, obviously was sick, so I wouldn't be trading him. I'd be holding him. He's going to go down a bit, and he could still turn out to be a decent pick. He's just had a weird sort of 3 or 4 weeks, so yeah, I don't know. If you want to trade him, if you've got nothing else to do, and you can get him to a Parker, a Heaney, if you don't have Dunkley, I don't know why you wouldn't have Dunkley, but if you don't have Dunkley, going up to a guy like him, Taranto's dropping. I would, if you could look at someone like Taranto in a couple of weeks' time. So yeah, there's a few options there. Connor Rosie only got 74, but again, weird game. He looked good. He was playing midfield. So if you're still looking at him as an option, I think he still is an option. Just depending on what his break even is, really, because he was playing, still playing mid. He still went to pretty much almost all that. He was him and Butters went to 9 CBAs, Wines went to 12, Hayes went to 11. So it was literally Wines, Butters, and Rosie were the main guys. Boat only went to 3, Drew only went to 5, and then you had like Farrell went to 1. So, and there was only 9? There was only like 13 CBAs for the game. So Rosie clearly has that midfield role. So I think he's still an option to bring in that's quite cheap. Who else we got here from this game? Scrolling down, there wasn't too many relevant fantasy players in this game. Mark Swinhager only got a 43. He could find his way out of the team, especially with guys like Zach Jones, Jack Billings, Hunter Clarke. I don't know if they're all ready yet or if they're going to come back, but he'll be probably one of the guys that will move out. Sam Hayes only got a 43. So again, if there is anything wrong with Bruce, then Sam Hayes only getting a 43 is not obviously huge. But again, he's going to tick over the money. Negative 15 break even, so he's still going to make money, which is great. As our R3s. So, and yeah, if Bruce is injured, then maybe you could play Hayes for a week. But yeah, hopefully he's not. Hopefully everything's all good with that as well. But there's nothing come out about Bruce from what I've seen. So if I go check Honeyball on Twitter, they normally put out this stuff, and Leon Cameron would have said something after the game if he was injured. So if I look at it here, it doesn't look to me like there's been anything of note here. So if I'll just check out GWS's Twitter. So I'm just interested to see if there was anything. It doesn't look like it. Okay, no, that's that. Keep going down. That's their VFL team. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. I think Bruce will be fine. I don't think there'll be anything wrong with him. Next game. So let's get Carlton North Melbourne is the next game we'll get into. So so Andrew Griffith says, I'm looking at Cripper as my mids are round 13 and 14. Yeah, that's yeah. So like if you've got too many round 13 and 14 players, you don't have any round 12 players, and yes, then he is a player that you can look at. Definitely want to get in because he just looks brilliant, which I'll talk about him now in this game as well. But yeah, so I'll just get through his games first, and I'll go through those questions there. So thank you for tuning in as well. But thank you for putting in your question in live chat. If you've got questions as well, leave them in the live chat. I'll get to them when I get through these final 4 games as well. And make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and leave a like on the video. It's always much appreciated. On what we've got 5 likes now. There's 9 people watching now. 9 people can click the like button. So go ahead and click it. Helps the channel out. It takes 2 seconds, and yeah, but thank you all for all the support you guys have given so far as well. So Paddy Cripps, 125. He just is insane this year. He's, for me, looks everything, but there you go. 2 people just did it. Thank you very much. 3 people did it. Beautiful. Getting up there. But yeah, so Cripps, 125. So if you take out that game where he got a 36 against Gold Coast in 1 quarter, when that, again, he's on track for a 120 score. So yeah, like he's just so good. Hasn't failed to hit under 112 so far in his games, in 4 games this year. So he's gone 112. Let me have a look at this. So he's gone 112 in round 1 against Richmond, just to get his. So Lockheed Neal didn't get a scribe day. So 142. So where am I ranked? 5, 8, 9, 3. I think I went down about 100 spots, maybe somewhere around that, but that's fine. It's still 5 or something like that. But so Cripps' scores this year, this is just like. So he's gone 112, 123, 138, 123, 125. He's just consistently hitting 120. Just he's kicking goals. He's kicking a goal in every game. He's getting a lot of disposals. He's getting marks and tackles. Just doing everything. And again, I don't think there's been a player in the comp that's got 110 plus in full games so far this year. So he's the only guy doing that. So he's still underpriced. He's still going to be under 830K. So if you haven't got him and you got rid of him after he's injured, jump on him. So yeah, as Shannon Baron says, Cripps for the Brownlow. Yeah, like he's going to be right up there for the Brownlow. So yeah, he's looking so good. So if you haven't got him, jump on. That score could have been bigger as well. Like he dropped the mark with like 30 seconds to go to have a shot on goal. He missed 2 other chances. So that could have been a 140. And I don't even think he was played that great either. Like he was still very, very good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think he was at his best. I think he played better against like Richmond and Hawthorn and Bulldogs, and he still got to 125. So he's very, very good. Top 8 midfielder, looks every bit of that and great option. Harry Mcrae 110. He was clunking everything. He was just marking everything, and still, as it's been mentioned all week, still no Ben Mcrae and Harry Mcrae match up yet. So I don't know if that'll ever happen. It seems cursed. Sam Doherty 100. Now, this is just what's so good about these guys that are top position and premiums, right? So Doherty was only on. If I look at it, so he was only on 49 points at 3/4 time. He still had 20 odd touches, but he only had like 1 or 2 marks, only like 1 tackle. But last quarter, 14 disposals, 2 marks, 2 tackles, 51 points, and got himself to 100. So that's all we can ask for when these premiums are playing and they aren't playing well and they can get themselves to such a big score. So yeah, very, very good. And he's going to be one of the top sort of 2 or 3 defenders. So he's just doing very good. Sam Welsh 97. A lot of people are talking about him as an option. I just don't know if he's an amazing player. I just don't see him as an option, as a guy that's going to be a top 8 mid, because with Cripps the main guy there, and you've got Kennedy and Chera, and Hewitt didn't play this week. I just don't see him getting 120s, 130 consistently enough. Guys like Took and even Steele, and Steele hasn't done it yet, but Steele will do it. Cripps is doing it. Like, you've got all these guys like Andrew Brayshaw, Lockheed Neal. They're all getting consistent big scores, whereas Walsh is only getting anywhere from 95 to 120, whereas these other guys are going a lot bigger. Like, look at Oliver. He's gone 5 of his last 6 have been over 110. So guys like that are going to be top 8 mids. Guys that are getting your sort of maximum 115, if they were a defender or forward, they'd be in top position. I just don't see Sam Walsh, a great player, one of the best in the competition, but I just don't see him being a top 8 midfielder. But if you want to bring him in, you can. I just don't know. I'd rather guys like Took at his price. Took is definitely a guy that I'm looking at this week. Who else we got here? Josh Simpkin at 93. It was good to see him get 10 tackles. I just don't know if I see him as an option anymore. So Todd Goldstein. So Todd Goldstein has got to be a guy that we've got to talk about here. So he got a 90. He was but ruck for the bulk of the game, and he will ruck for the bulk of the games while what's his name's out, Cherry's out. Colin Jones is more forward. He'll get ruck time, but Goldie got a 90, 18 disposals, had 36 hitouts, and he's priced at 496. His break-even was 89. If Bruce is injured, for example, I don't think Goldie's actually the worst option to bring in as a guy on his buy in round 14. So you could hold him, and he's a guy that is really cheap. And you've got guys like Horn Francis getting a 52 and probably looking like moving on. If you need a guy to fill in your ruck spot this week, I think Goldie's not the worst option. So just someone to keep an eye on. Jack Carroll. So actually, no. So Adam Cherry got 89. He was solid as well. But yeah, Jack Carroll, 87 on debut. I know mate Ryan was saying that he's a very good player and he's looking at bringing him, like he would be definitely looking at him as an option whenever he comes in. He came in the team late in for Zach Williams and he looked great. 87 points with 8 marks. He was off for like the last 10 minutes as well, so that could have been close to 100. So at least he's still going to be affordable. A lot of people this week are probably going to go 2 guys down to Greg Clarke and Jack Carroll. I think that's definitely a very good option because if Jack Carroll holds his spot, which you can't drop him after how he played. There's other guys you could drop in that team over him, but he looked very good. And going Carroll and Clarke this week, I think is a very good option because I think they're both going to be in the team long term and scoring well. Jack Carroll not as certain as Greg Clarke, but I think Carroll should be in the team long term. He's playing really well, so he's definitely a damn great option to look at. Coleman Jones, 78. I was looking at him to see what he could do. Probably not enough for me to really look at him strongly as an option. Same with Tom DeConning, only 64, so probably not quite an option you're looking at. Taron Thomas only got 61. Did I hear something about that he was going to be suspended potentially? Did he get suspended? So I don't know if I heard wrong on or if whatever, but so Stocker got a 1-game suspension. Hornfront's got a $2,000 sanction. Larky got a 1-game suspension. Yeah, I sort of thought he probably could have got one. Lewis Young got a game suspension. So yeah, I don't really know what. I don't know why someone said. I don't know if I heard it wrong, but yeah. So Tyron Thompson only got 61 anyway. He's just not scoring well enough to be an option yet. He's going to be very, very, very cheap if he starts getting more midfield time and starts scoring better. So he had 14 CBAs. So what? And there was how many for the game? Goldie 18, Coleman Jones. So 31. So he only went to 14 CBAs. So if he gets more, then he could be an option. But he's just not getting enough to be an option. He's not scoring well enough either. So Jason Horne-Francis, 52. He played solid. He gave away 4 free kicks as well for that 52. Only had one tackle. So, but I think it's the fact that it's now his break-in was 52. So I think his time is now done. It's time to upgrade him now. If you've got nothing, if you haven't got any other issues, I don't know if there were too many issues coming out of this week, unless you've got issues still from last week. Maybe Hewitt, if he doesn't play, that might be something of an issue, but I think Hewitt will play. But yeah, Horne-Francis, 52, I think it's time to upgrade him, but definitely, certainly not in any sour terms. Not like he scored poorly. Like 52 from a rookie, still fine. But yeah, I think it's time to move him on. Paul Curtis, 52. I think he's still a good option to look at as a downgrade option because he'll be in the team long term and he'll at least make some money. But I think he's probably a little bit too expensive now. If he was like 210, 220K, yes, but he's now 240. He's probably going to be like 260, 270. So I just don't think he'll be a guy that will be on the top list. If there was no options to bring in, I think that then you could look at that. But I just think there are a few guys now that are really good options to bring in to downgrade. Corey Dunn got a 50. So again, he'll just keep his score, his cash generation ticking over, which is always nice. And then, yeah, Miller Bergman sucked for him. He got injured on 3 as well and got subbed out. Finally got his debut, and he's a North Melbourne support, lifelong North Melbourne fan as well. And to do that, obviously, that sucks for him. So hopefully he'll be fine and he'll recover well. I don't know if he'll need how long he'll be out for. But so Collingwood and Gold Coast. So Tuke Miller is officially back. He's back. He's had a couple of poor weeks, went bang with a 140. He didn't have any poor games. He had a 56-point last quarter as well. And people probably thinking, oh, he had a 56-point last quarter, so that means he didn't score great. He still scored 94 points outside. Is that right? 84. 84 points. Sorry. Yep. My ass is good. 84 points outside that. So that's still very good for 3 quarters. Still solid enough for 3 quarters. So 140. He looked good. He's not getting any cheaper, and I think we're going to need him at some point. He's going to be a top 8 mid, I think. So he's definitely a very good option to look at. His break-in was 130 something this week, so he's only going to go up a couple of K. So this is the week to jump on him, though. Jack Crisp, 130. He's been very, very good since he got the 51 in round 1. He hasn't gone under 80 since then, and I think he's only gone one score under. So he scored since round 1. So he got 126 against the Crows, then he got 83 against Geelong. But since then, he got 100, 125, 99, and 130. So he's showing that he can get those 120s, which is good. And he isn't scoring poorly. So he's definitely going to be a top 6 defender, probably top 3 defender. And yeah, he's just getting it done every week. And again, he's got the ability to score 50 points in that in a quarter. So he's just being done very well. Scott Penebee, 113. Just another guy again in defense, scoring really well to keep an eye on. So just again, watch and see what he does. Good as well for draft. Taylor Adams, 113. He played well. 8 marks, 8 tackles does help with 23 touches. Again, only 68% game time. So I want to see that jump up to 80% and then see these 110, 120 scores from him. And then we can look at him as an option. I just don't want to jump on him with only playing 68% game time because you can get a 70 from him. So yeah, Noah Anderson. So if you jumped on him this week, he obviously scored well again. So he just keeps scoring really well. I think if you didn't jump on him now, you've missed the boat. I just don't see him being a top 8 mid. So I'd rather Tuke out of that team. Darcy Cameron got a 107. So he's quite cheap as a forward. So an option underpriced. he'll be their main ruck. How many CBAs did he attend today? So Jared Witts was a tough matchup for him, but he went to 19 and Begg went to 16. So you'd want to see that more of a line share of the ruck for Cameron to be an option before you'd look at that. But again, just a guy maybe to watch next week and see what happens there. Witts 103, scored well, obviously good matchup. If you move to him from, who was it? If you moved to a Witts, then you'd be pretty happy with that score. I just don't know if he's going to be consistent enough. But then again, all these rucks going down, he's still standing. So maybe he becomes an option with all their rucks going down. Matt Rao got an 88, so solid enough for you. If you've got him, you can probably just keep holding him. He's just getting the job done. But if you've got nothing to do, then you can get rid of him. Lipinski looked good, and he only got an 83 from 30 disposals. So he's reminding me a bit of Dusty Martin in the way that like he's getting 25 odd disposals, but he's only getting 3 marks and 1 tackle a week. He's not getting a lot of those key, to get 100, you can get 30 touches, right? But to get your 110, 120, 130 plus scores, you need marks and tackles. And Lipinski's just not a guy doing that. So if you've got him, you can look at potentially moving him on, but probably not your priority at the moment. You've probably got rookies to move on, which I'd still advise people to do. I'd advise moving guys like Horn Francis over a Butters. But for example, if you can only get Horn Francis to a guy that's 600, 650, but you can get a Butters to a Toot Miller, that would be something where you could look at doing that, but I'd still prioritize. Or you could literally go Horn Francis down to Greg Clarke and go another guy down and then upgrade the week after. So you could look at doing that as well. Aiden Begg got a 64 on debut. Again, I just don't know if he's going to hold his team in the long term. So we've got a lot of good options to look at. Nick Dacos, 59. I think it's just the last few weeks for Nick Dacos has shown he's a low priority to trade, probably a guy you trade your buys, but he's now 639. His break even's now 80, not 87. So he's not going to make much more money. He's done very, very well. He's made 355K. We couldn't have asked for much more. This is his first game under 73, so maybe you don't trade him out probably this week. He's got Richmond next week, so good matchup, but he's probably a guy that's not going to be a top 6 defender, and you can look at moving him on at some point over the next month or so. John to go 56, so again, he had gastro midweek. I wouldn't be reading too much into that. He didn't have as many CBAs as what he has done in the past. He played quite a decent chunk of the game forward. He still had 21 CBAs, but he did go in the centre bounce and then just sort of go forward. So De Go will be an option for us, but it'll be good that we don't have to probably jump on him just yet and probably look at him after his bye or in a couple of weeks' time. Malcolm Rose, if you jumped on him, he only got a 45, so just not enough. As a small forward as well, unfortunately, he's just capable of that. These small forwards are just capable of scoring quite poorly. And then Reece McInnes didn't come on as a sub for 0, so probably good for owners he didn't come on. And then he just doesn't. But it was weird that he was named in the squad, but then he was moved to the sub, and they moved Callum Brown onto or Tyler Brown. I can't remember which one it was, and they moved him on. So a bit different. You don't normally see that too often, but yeah. Western Bulldogs and Essendon. So 2 more games here. So Josh Dunkley, 133. He's just an absolute machine. Keeps getting it done. 4 scores in his last 5 over 125. So just ridiculous. Averaging over 121 for the year. He's probably arguably one the must-have commodity in fantasy. Only went to 7 CBAs as well today. Didn't even need CBAs to get it done. This is the Dunkley that we saw last year, and the best Dunkley is where he doesn't need high CBAs, but he still gets big scores. The start of the year, he had got a lot of CBAs, but now it's like maybe they're playing him more forward. They certainly did today, but he got up the ground, did what Dunkley does, and just very, very good. Caleb Daniel, 105. I still don't trust him as an option in Classic, but he's getting it done. So there you go. Same with Bailey Dale, 102. They're both sort of scoring quite well of late. So more good for draft, I think. Darcy Parish, 101. He's just not hitting those heights of like last year with those 120 plus scores regularly enough. So I just don't see him being a top 8 mid and not really an option you can bring in. Bailey Smith got 100. So I was very happy that he got to 100. I was sort of stressing he was only going to get another 90, but got the 100. And there was probably 4, 5, 6 instances where they could have chipped short to him when I thought they should have, but then they end up going longer. So the fact he got to 100 is just is probably good. So, and he only had 26 disposals. So on another day, he gets more than that. And he still went to 19 CBAs. Only Bont went to more, which is, again, weird because I thought Bont was playing more forward, but he went back in the mid today. But Basis is the most. And then Mcrae was 18. Then you had Libra on 15. So you can clearly see that Bailey Smith is the guy they want to play in there the most, along with guys like Mcrae, Bont, and Libra and guys like that. So, yeah, Bailey Smith's very good. And if you've got him, don't be too worried about him. He'll be good. And he still played, 92% game time. Absolute machine. Doesn't come off. So, yeah, solid enough from him. Jack Mcrae, 94. Again, poor in the first half. Had a good second half. Couple of games in a row now, he's gone under 100. He'll be fine. He still had 28 disposals. I think he gave away 3 free kicks. That would have been 100 if obviously he doesn't give them away. But yeah, Zach Merritt only got 92, 36 touches, had 27 handballs. So like you look at a guy like Roy Laird, who got 118, got tagged and had 36 disposals and had like 20 something handballs. But he had a lot of tackles, whereas Zach Merritt only two tackles, 4 marks. There are a lot of midfielders this year that are scoring quite well. So I don't know if he's going to be a top 8 mid, but just a guy that you can keep an eye on, I guess. Nick Martin, 91, just, again, hadn't scored under 68 all year. Back-to-back scores of 86 and 91. Break-even was 41. He's just going to go up even more. And I'm sure that looking at going into fantasy now, so he went up another lot of money. His break-even still 42. So 558, he's still making money, so he's still very, very good. And yeah, what a player. He just looks very, very good as well with the ball, not just only as a fancy player, but he just looks good with the ball. Makes good decisions. Marcus Bontempelli only 84. I was sort of hoping he plays more forward because he gets forward status, but it's probably not going to happen now if he's playing midfield. Obviously not scoring well enough. He could become an option if he drops enough and becomes really cheap, but yeah, not scoring enough as an option yet. Still great player though. Libra 83, just getting consistent 80s. I just don't know if he's going to be a top 6 forward. He got the 120 last week, but as people have said, conditions did really suit him last week. So Roy McComb got an 83. So again, he's another guy to keep an eye on as a potential option that you could bring in. He's definitely a guy I'm looking at. I might look at going McComb and Carroll this week. That could be something I'm looking at doing. But I do want to go one up, one down more than doing that. Trelaw 78. Again, with a lot of forwards scoring well, I don't know if Trelaw's going to be a top 6 forward, but he's still doing well. You're not trading him out, obviously, but you're probably not bringing him in. But he's still scoring okay, still getting at least like 80s every week. So if you still got Caldwell, only got 67 again. If you've got him, you've got to move him on. He's going to start bleeding quite a decent amount of money. Who else we got? Obviously, Kane Baldwin only got a 35. If you've got him, he's going to make money, but I wouldn't be bringing him in. Ben Hobbs only got a 30, which is disappointing because I want him to play more midfield because he'll be very, very good in there, but he's just not getting that midfield time. So obviously, if you jumped on him, you're probably disappointed. You probably want him to play more midfield to make more money. So final game of the round, then we'll get into the questions. There's a couple there, so I'll get to them. If you're watching live as well, got 14 at the moment. So if you've got questions, make sure you leave them in the live chat. I'll get to them once I get through this game. And also, leave a like on the video if you haven't already. I see that a few people did jump on after I asked that, which is quite good. So thank you very much for the support. Do appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you are new around here, click the subscribe button. We're up to 370 last time I checked. So heading towards 500. So thank you very much for all the support as well. And turn notifications on so you miss when I go live in the future. But yeah, so anyway, Lockheed Neal, 142. It's going to be hard. Who are the ball magnets boys is going to get the Brownlow? Is it going to be Lockheed Neal or is it going to be Paddy Cripps? Who's going to get it? Paddy Cripps probably edging it at the moment, but Lockheed Neal, you can guarantee 3 votes here, 37 disposals. It was good to see him get 9 tackles as well. I've been wanting to see a game where he gets some tackles, and he did today, which is good. Kicked a goal as well. He's going to be a top 8 mid, I think. So if you haven't got him now, I think you want to get him. And as I did see, so Shannon Baron said as well, he's got West Coast next week at the Gabba. Then he's got the Crows at Adelaide Oval. Then he's got Hawthorn at the Gabba. Talk about he's going to go 120 plus in all those 3 games. Surely, like he's just going to go absolutely nuts. And I don't see like West Coast aren't going to tag him. Like they could go Nelson, but I just think West Coast have got to just try and focus on actually like playing well instead of tagging the opposition. Then they got the Crows. I don't see Crows tagging Neal. Might send like guy like Keys to him at centre bounces, but you can't tag Neal really anyway. He moves around too much. And then Hawthorn. So like maybe Colin Nash goes to him, but I think that he'll score well against Hawthorn anyway. But yeah, Lockheed Neal's very good. Again, Keller Mills followed up last week with another 131. So just showing he is an option and he's looking like he could potentially be in that mix for those top 8 mid spots. 7 marks, 7 tackles. He is a guy that does that, though. He gets a lot of marks, a lot of tackles. So very good to see from him with 30 disposals. Kicked a goal as well. So very good from him. I think, again, he didn't play high game time either. I think he's still... he only played 70. Well, he played 77%, so a little bit more than last week. You want him over 80%, but still 131 you're not complaining with. Luke Parker, 119. He's definitely an option to look at now as a forward. He's underpriced. He's right for the picking. I think he'll be a top 6 forward. He's a guy that I'm looking at bringing in my team this week. Dane Zawker, another guy I'm looking at bringing in my team this week. He got a 105. He seems to be playing like, so he still went to 11 centre bounces as well, which was still good. So it looks like he's playing back. He's back to a mid forward role, but he's getting up the ground and getting marks, and he is really cheap. So he's gone down. You could wait another week to see what he does, but again, with these games against West Coast, Hawthorn, and Adelaide, or West Coast, Adelaide, and Hawthorn next 3, he's definitely a guy that you can look at bringing in as an option. I think he could be a top 6 defender as well. So. Buddy looked great, got 100 as well, kicked 6 goals. He looked vintage Buddy, kicked 4 goals or whatever in the third quarter, so to get them back in it. Isaac Heaney, again, it's impressive. 95. He got 95, kicked 3 goals, and he didn't have his best game either. Like, it wasn't like it was vintage, like it was one of his, not vintage, but like it wasn't like it was a great game from Heaney, but he still got 95. So he's an option, and he's probably going to be a top 6 forward. So yeah, he's definitely an option to look at as well. Danny Rich only got an 82. So again, just showing that he hasn't got those games of getting those 120s anymore. He's just not playing enough midfield time anymore. He still went to 22 CBAs, but McCluggage is looking like that next guy they're playing in the midfield more. And he got 96 McCluggage, so he looks solid as well. Lanham's got 97 as well. So if you did jump on him, you'd be happy with that output from him. I don't know how long Hickey is going to be out for, so maybe you can ride him until then. What else we got here? Jake Lloyd, only 71. He's just not a top 6 defender. I think it's time to look at that now, and probably the buyers, he's probably a guy you can look at moving on to a top 6 defender. I wouldn't be trading him out now. He's still, I'd be getting rid of rookies first, but he's just not going to score those scores that we've seen in the past, unfortunately, for Lloyd. Blakey only 64. If you've got him, I think it's time to move him on. Kadeem Coleman got a 63, so solid enough, and leading into these 3 easy games, he's definitely a downgrade option. I'm personally not looking at it because I'm probably looking at going like a Jack Carroll and someone either up or getting Macomb as well. But Kadeem Coleman, if you're looking for a cheap guy, he's a guy there. Justin McInerney, got 61, so just showing that he's just not going to be consistent enough to be an option for us to look at. And I think that's it from that game. And yeah, Joe Danaher got injured as well. So for Brisbane, hopefully for them, he's going to be okay. But yeah, so that's it from that. So let's get into some of these questions. Actually, just before I get into the questions, I'm just interested to see what is Greg Clarke's break even. So he's 250K exactly, and break even of -31. If you haven't got him, jump on now. Like, you have to jump on. And then Jack Carroll, I'm just interested to see what his break even is. So Jack Carroll's break even is -16. So that's obviously very helpful. And then Robbie McComb's break even. So McComb's obviously more expensive at 265. He's got a -18 break even. So you've got 3 really good options now to downgrade to. So if someone's asked me who would I rank them, you go Greg Clarke 1. I still think Jack Carroll's number 2 if he holds his spot, and then McComb's 3, but they're all really good options. So let's get into these questions. Well, if you're watching live, get your questions in. I'll go through them. So we'll start at the... So I did answer Shannon Baron's one. Cherry to Parker, yeah, I do like that. Very good option, and Parker's underpriced from what he's doing and what he will do for the rest of the year. I think Parker will be a top 6 forward. He's only had that 1 poor game, 42, which is why he's so cheap. So Tim Ashworth says, Jason Horn Francis to Greg Clarke, and Rochelle up to who can you help? I think it just depends how much money you've got, who you can afford, but if you haven't got Cripps, I'd be looking at him probably as one of the top guys. If you haven't got Toot Miller, I'd be looking at him. If you don't have Callum Mills, he's another option. Lockheed Neal, if you don't have him. And then if you're looking at like another position, Jaden Short played mid. He could be a good option to bring in. Luke Parker's underpriced. there's plenty of options. It's just pretty much whoever you want to go for Tim. That's what I'd probably advise there. Moonboy says, who comes in first out of Macomb and Carroll? As I said, I think I'd probably say Carroll first because he saved that bit of extra money, and I don't see him getting dropped. I don't see Macomb getting dropped either anytime soon, but to save that extra bit of money, I think I'd just edge Carroll there. Shannon Baron says Carroll might get dropped when Hewitt comes back, question mark. So I think Carroll will hold his spot because I think he just looked really good. But yeah, you do make a point that him and Macomb could get dropped after one poor game. So, but because their break-evens are negative, they're going to go up in price really quickly. So even if they only play 2 or 3 games, they're going to make 50K plus 100K. So they're going to make good money. So Shannon Baron said, Bruce played out the game, just he hobbled around for a bit when he jarred it. So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed for everyone that Bruce is fine and he's not injured because we need him. All our rucks are going down. So what have we got here? So Taj Parsons says Mills or Took. That's a tough one. That's really tough. So actually, because the locket's lifted now, we can go and check based on price. So Mills is priced at, he's now $9.28, so he's really expensive. So he's got a break in 80. He's obviously gone back-to-back good games. He's got, Gold Coast, Essendon, Carlton, Richmond, Melbourne in his next few games. But Toot Miller, I think I'd be going. You say 40-odd K. He's gone down 139. And he hasn't been, like, if you take out the... So he got 100 against West Coast round 1. Then he got a 147 against Melbourne round 2. Then he got a 68 against Giants when he got double tagged by De Boer and Ash. So... You don't normally see people getting double tagged. So, hang on. I just got to reply to a message. Hang on. There we go. Sorry, I just had to reply. The Muller was just asking questions. So, but yeah, Toot Miller. Yeah. So, anyways, I was saying double tagged by De Boer and Ash in round 3 with 68. Got sort of cooled a bit by, as they say, cooled by Carlton and George Hewitt, and he got an 83. But again, he still had 32 disposals. He just didn't have any tackles. So he's getting the ball right. 99 against St Kilda. Again, similar thing. Didn't have any tackles, which is obviously important for guys like him to get big scores. He's still got 99 with 32 touches. But then he's gone 111 and 140 in his last 2. And so I think he's definitely an option to bring in. And he's my number 1 target this week for my own team. It just depends if I can get to him somehow. Because he's 885, but I just don't see him getting any cheaper. Like his break even now is 95, so he's not getting any cheaper than that. So I would probably, to answer your question, Taj, I'd probably go Took there to save a bit of money. And yeah, so Moonboy, Mills versus Oliver versus Neal. So out of that, to rank those 3, I'd probably go Neal number 1. I think Neal, for a fact that he's got West Coast, Crows, and Hawthorn his next 3, I think that makes him the next guy. So the guy to bring in out of those 3. Mills and Oliver, that's a tough one. So Mills has looked great the last 2 weeks, and Oliver's looked good since all year besides that Port game. That's hard. What's the price? And Mills is what, 928. Oliver is 899. If that 30K makes a difference, you could go Oliver. I would prefer Mills out of the 2 personally. I've owned Oliver in the past, and he can just give you 60s and that out of the nowhere, whereas Mills doesn't give you 60s. Mills gives you minimum like 85, 90. I know he got 70 against the Dogs, but he was still working his way back from that Achilles issue. I would still go Oliver. Not Oliver. I'd still go Mills, out of those. So I'd go Neal 1, Mills 2, Oliver 3 personally. I know a lot of people are probably going to say Oliver 1 or are going to say Mills 1. I just think Neal is the guy out of those 3. So Neal Moonboy says Neal must have then. Yeah, I think Neal was a must have personally. Who else we got here? Tony Ford says, hey, mate, awesome stream so far. Thanks, Tony. Appreciate that. Thoughts on these early trades? Jason Horne-Francis to Rochelle. Yep, tick that off. Jason Horne-Francis. What am I doing? Jason Horne-Francis and Rochelle, which I do tick off. You're getting rid of both guys that made the money. And you bring in Carroll and Took. Carroll on the bench and means Cripps will be M7. Oh, that's brilliant. So tick those, Tony. That brilliant trades. Means, and you say here, it'll mean they'll have to fill Dunn F6 for a week versus the Crows, but then I'll be able to upgrade him to Parker the following week. Can you loophole someone with Durden with someone, or can you play Carroll instead on your field over Durden? I would do that. I still think Took and Carroll for those two are great, but you could keep Horne-Francis for a week and get Parker this week and get Took next week. But yeah, I do like those trades regardless. Maybe Durden at F6 maybe puts me off a tiny bit of those trades, but the actual trades themselves are brilliant. I do really like those, and that's something similar to what I'm looking at doing this week as well. Liam O'Flynn says, going Hayes to Clarke. I'm assuming that's Jack Hayes to Greg Clarke, and Rochelle to Took. Thoughts? Unfortunately, I'll still have Horne-Francis and Brodie for another round. To be honest, that's fine. You're getting rid of Jack Hayes, who's injured anyway, and you're getting rid of Rochelle, who's made his money. I'd rather get rid of Rochelle over Horne-Francis and Will Brodie. You're bringing in Took. So, yeah, 100%. I like those trades. Lock those trades in, unless we get carnage. Hopefully we don't. SJ, DJ says Jack Hayes and Jason Horne-Francis to Greg Clarke and Oliver for me. Yeah, I do like those trades where you're getting a premium midfielder in for Horne-Francis and you're getting Greg Clarke. Looks like on your bench, but you can play Greg Clarke on your field. I think he's going to score well enough to be there. Shannon Baron says, I'm considering English in the forward line for Butters, Brodie, or Nick Martin. Nick Martin played in the midfield for a bit. Did he? I don't think he got. Did he? I don't think he got any CBAs. Did he? That would be very weird if Nick Martin got CBAs. And if he did, it's great. It means he's going to continue to score well for us. He's just been so good this year. I think that I just put him on my utility just as a guy that I think he can score well. I'll put him there. Nick Martin didn't. I think, yeah, he played on the wing a lot and he just played up the ground. So he's just very good. Yeah. So, but yeah, English in a few weeks' time for a guy like Butters or Will Brodie or whatever will be a popular play. And then Moonboy says there's no good forward options. Grabbing another big mid this week. I think there is. Moonboy, I think there is though. I think that if you look at your forwards here, so under 800k, so I still think Heaney's a good option to bring in if you don't have him. With Patley, but I think he'll just continue to push more and right the ground. I think Luke Parker's a great option. 760k break even to 75. He's right for the picking. I still think Jordan De Goey is a good option to bring in. I wouldn't read anything into what he scored today because he was sick midweek and he still went to a lot of CBS considering, which is still very surprising. So he'll be fine. I would still look at De Goey as an option. So you've got those three guys. If you've got all three of those guys, and I can see what you're saying, but yeah, guys like Took and Cripps and Neal and guys like that are going to be ones that people are going to be bringing in. So, Tim Ashworth says I got 280 up from Rochelle as a forward. So Rochelle is a forward. So let me do the quick calculating here. So Rochelle 472. 472, and then you've got what 280k in your bank, so you've got 752k in the bank. So, and what you can get, I'm sure you can get a midfielder or a midfielder or forward in. Sorry, so under 752k, you've got Dane Zawker in defence. I think it's not a bad option, especially with these three games coming up of West Coast, Hawthorn, and Adelaide. I think he's an option you can look at. De Goey, I still think is not a bad option to bring in as well. I wouldn't read anything into what he scored this week. He was sick midweek, as I said. But I do see what you mean, though. Like, there's not a lot of like outstanding options here. Like Connor Rosie, I wouldn't read into that 74 that he scored this week. That was a weird at a weird ground, and they do put up some weird games. So I would still look at guys like that. So, Tony Ford says I could go Parker this week instead of Took and play O'Driscoll on ground. Or if I bring in Took, I have either Durden, DeConning, or Windy to choose for on loop. So that's interesting. So Parker's against the Gold Coast, and you've got Parker and O'Driscoll on field, and O'Driscoll's got who's O'Driscoll got? O'Driscoll this week has got North Melbourne, so that's a good matchup. So Parker and O'Driscoll against North, or Took against Sydney, and one of Durden or DeConning or Windy. So if I just look at the games, is there a way that you can like loophole one of those? So what you could do is you could loophole O'Driscoll, right, on your bench. And if O'Driscoll scores really well, you can go get Parker in. But then if O'Driscoll only gets a 50, you can then go and play one of Durden, DeConning or Windhager on your field. I'd go probably Durden or Windhager. And then you can go bring Took. That's probably what I would do there. But I'd loophole O'Driscoll first. And you guess like a 90, then you go get Parker instead. I think that'd be the play there. Andrew Griffith says, do I trade out Owens or Hobbs? Only bench rookie is Ward if he's back, 342k. Jason France to Cripper or Parker. Yeah, I'd be going Cripper out of those two. I think Cripper's a must-have, or close to a must-have anyway. If you can go and get rid of Owens, and then still get Cripper, I would do that. But if you can't get Cripper, by getting rid of Owens, I'd then go and get rid of Hobbs, just because I don't see Hobbs making that much more money. So what's Hobbs up to now? So Hobbs is now up to 331, break even of 35. Like, he could just get a 60 or 70 and make a lot more money, but I just don't know if I see him with that role. So you could look at going him out if getting rid of Owens. So Andrew Griffiths, no, I've said that one already. So Shannon Baron says, what were Butters versus Rosie CBAs this week? So there was 13 CBAs for the game. Both Rosie and Butters went to 9 each, and Wines went to 12 the most, and you had Drew at 5, and I think Boat was at like 3. So clearly that they want Rosie and Butters in there, and they won the game. They've won 2 games in a row with that, so I don't see that changing. So Rosie's an option, that's for sure. So Tony Ford said Durden could kick a bag against the Crows. Yeah, he could, but I don't know. I don't know if he will though. He could. I'd still think he should be good for a minimum 50. Minimum 40 at worst. But you could, as I said, Durden and Took is still very, very good. And if you're getting Took on the other side, so as I said, I would loop Driscoll first, see what he does. If he scores well, you get Parker. If he doesn't score that great, you just play Durden or Windhager if he plays, and then you go and get a 2. That's what I would do. And then Andrew Griffith says, I still got Ainsworth on the bench. So, if you've got Ainsworth on the bench, I'd probably look at getting rid of Ainsworth first over Hobbs and Owens, because Ainsworth give you a lot more money. But then again, if you can get rid of Owens and you can still get Cripper, I would still do that, because at least Ainsworth and they are playing. But then again, I think Ainsworth's starting to bleed money, whereas Owens isn't losing money. So Ainsworth is 447. He got a 61 today. Back-to-back 40s before that. He only went up 1K this week. Breaking 59. Yeah, if Ainsworth's on your bench, you could downgrade him and get more money, but you could get rid of Owens because buys are coming up. So I certainly would get rid of Owens and do that. I can trade Ainsworth and Nod next week. Okay, yeah. I'd get rid of Owens this week, and I'd go Ainsworth and Nod next week. That's what I would be doing. So, all right, we've had a long one tonight, but plenty to discuss. Plenty of good options coming out of the week. Plenty of good scores coming from the week. We had a lot of people scoring over 2,200 this week and scoring really well. What the tops? Actually, I want to see who the top scorer was for the week, like in terms of their team. So, top scorer for round 7 was 2486, and it was the Amadi affiliation. I think that's it. Affliction, I think it's called. Affliction, I think it is. So yeah, he's looking at his team. You guys can all go look at his team as well. But yeah, it's gone nuts. Pretty much every player. No player went under 60. The only player under 60 was Will Brodie. Dacos as well. So Dacos and Brodie. Besides that, no one under 70. So yeah, very, very good team. And he's now at 515 ranking, so very good. But yeah, so anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in and watching. If you did enjoy the content, make sure you leave a like on the video. Got a few people, 15 likes, so that's very good for the video. So thank you very much for people that did that. If you haven't done it yet, click the like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Any help is very much appreciated. What are we up to now? Have we got any for the video? So 372. So again, thank you very much for the 2 people that did subscribe since I last said. But anyone, takes 2 seconds, helps the channel out. Even if you don't watch any more videos after this, it just does help out. Because yeah, so if you can do that, that'd be very much appreciated. Turn notifications on so you see when I go live for the next video as well. I go live every Friday at 4 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time, so 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time for the weekend forecast every Friday. And then on Sundays, with the game being at 4:10, I go live at about 7 p.m. Australian Central Standard Time, so about 7:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time for the weekend report episode. We digest it and we go through and discuss everything that happened and digest everything that happened from the week. So again, thank you very much, Moonboy Legend, mate. Appreciate you, Moonboy. Appreciate you tuning in as well. But yeah, so anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you guys on the Friday weekend forecast episode. So I'll see you then. Have a good week, guys. I'm out. Cheers.